What up guys, Miguel here from Yugatech, and affordable and practically made 5G enabled phones are seemingly all over the current smartphone market, and it's surely a good thing for us, the consumers. Aside from getting faster speeds on our mobile devices, another absolute advantage of having a 5G phone is being able to maximize our load promos. Be it on prepaid or postpaid, telco providers usually offer additional data allocation on 5G. Obviously, we can't enjoy this perk with just a 4G smartphone. So in this video, we've curated a list filled with 10 5G smartphones we can buy today between 10 to 15,000 pesos. Let's get into it. Kicking off this list is the Realme 12 5G. Priced at 14,999 pesos, it sports a 6.72-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD screen with a 120Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness that goes up to 950 nits. The phone is equipped with the MediaTek Dimensity 6100 Plus chipset, combined with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of expandable storage. Yep, it has a microSD card slot supporting up to 2TB expansion. For optics, it gets a 108MP main shooter with a 3x in-sensor zoom accompanied by a 2MP monochromatic lens. In our testing, the phone garnered 430,910 points in Antutu. Other highlights of the phone include a 5,000 mAh battery paired with 45 watts of fast charging and an IP54 rating for dust and splash resistance. Another phone that utilizes the Dimensity 6100 Plus is the Samsung Galaxy A15 5G. It packs a 6.5-inch Full HD Plus Super AMOLED display running at a 90Hz refresh rate, and it has a decent peak brightness at 800 nits in high brightness mode. For configs, it has at least 4GB of RAM and 128GB of expandable storage. At the rear protrudes a triple camera setup that follows the iconic Galaxy design language of modern times. This setup comprises a 50MP main shooter, a 5MP ultra-wide, and a 2MP macro sensor. Battery-wise, it packs the usual 5,000 mAh unit with 25 watts of fast charging. Perhaps our only gripe with this phone is that dated dewdrop notch housing the front-facing camera. It's the only model in this list with that kind of notch design, and it's definitely not giving 2024 vibes. With a starting price of 10,990 pesos, it packs decent hardware but compromises a bit on aesthetics. Speaking of aesthetics, this next one exudes a premium vibe, not just in design, but also in features. Priced at 13,999 pesos, the Infinix NOTE 40 Pro Plus 5G packs a nifty feature that you typically only see in flagship models. That's the addition of wireless charging rated at 20 watts. And there is a charging dock that's already included in the box, with wired charging that maxes out even faster at 100 watts. The Note 40 Pro Plus boasts a 6.78-inch Full HD Plus curved AMOLED display. It runs at 120Hz refresh rate and reaches an impressive 1300 nits of peak brightness. Under the hood, the phone is equipped with the MediaTek Dimensity 7020 combined with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage. Sadly, it's not expandable. In Antutu, the phone was able to score 451,385 points, and at the rear protrudes a triple rear camera setup headlined by a 108MP main shooter with optical image stabilization support. The rear camera is also paired up with a macro and depth sensor, both having 2MP counts. Its battery capacity is a bit lower than usual though, rated at 4,600 mAh. Other key features here are the IP53 rating and an IR blaster for using it as a universal remote. For a relatively lower cost, the Infinix NOTE 40 5G also offers wireless charging at just 12,999 pesos. It is essentially the same with the Pro Plus, with similar features like the same Dimensity 7020 chip, the same display size at 6.78 inches with Full HD Plus resolution, and the same 108MP main shooter. As for differences, this model opts for a flat display rather than the curved one on the Pro Plus. It supports a microSD card slot and packs a higher battery capacity rated at 5,000 mAh, but slower wired and wireless charging rates at 33 watts and 15 watts respectively. Up next, we have three TECNO models coming from different lineups: the Camon 35G, the Pova 6 Pro 5G, and the Spark 20 Pro 5G. Starting with the Camon 35G. It boasts a 6.78-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED flat display, and it runs at a 120Hz refresh rate. Powering this device is also a MediaTek Dimensity 7020 chipset configured with up to 12GB of RAM and 512GB of internal storage. Flip to the back, it features a 50MP main shooter alongside a 2MP depth sensor. The front camera is a treat, rocking a 50MP sensor that supports autofocus. It even gets a dedicated front-facing LED flash, which is pretty cool. Battery is rated at the usual 5,000 mAh capacity and supports 70-watt fast charging. The TECNO Camon 35G starts at 11,999 pesos for the 8+256GB trim, and it goes up to 13,999 pesos for the 512GB option. Next, we have the TECNO Pova 6 Pro 5G, rocking a gamer-centric aesthetic. The backshell features their so-called 3D mecha design, complemented by some dynamic LED lighting effects. The hardware is pretty good, sporting a 6.78-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display, 120Hz refresh rate, and with a peak brightness of 1300 nits. This chipset is a bit of a downgrade though, equipped with the MediaTek Dimensity 6080. For configuration, it gets 12GB of RAM and 256GB of expandable storage. Besides the fancy lighting at the back is a triple camera system led by a 108MP main shooter. The other two lenses, well, TECNO didn't bother to specify them, with one said to be a 2MP camera and the other as an AI lens. Its battery capacity is bigger than usual, rated at 6,000 mAh paired with 70 watts of fast charging. This phone also gets an IP53 rating for protection against dust and some splashes. The TECNO Pova 6 Pro 5G sets you back 11,999 pesos for the simple 12+256GB config. Then there's the TECNO Spark 20 Pro 5G, which is pretty much like the Pova 6 Pro but with some toned down specs. These include a 6.78-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD panel, a 5,000 mAh battery, and 33 watts of fast charging. It's still powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 6080, retaining the 256GB expandable storage option, but with less RAM at 8GB. The cameras are the same though, sporting a 108MP main shooter, a 2MP macro, and an auxiliary lens. The TECNO Spark 20 Pro 5G retails for the same price at 11,999 pesos. Going back to its roots, Cherry, previously Cherry Mobile, has new Aqua models to offer, the Cherry Aqua GR in particular. This one boasts a more powerful MediaTek chipset, the Dimensity 7050. In fact, it's the best one as compared to any of the MediaTek-powered phones we discussed earlier. In Antutu, the phone was able to get 531,243 points, a score that is relatively higher than the previous entries. For configs, it gets 8GB of RAM and 256GB of expandable storage. Flip the phone to the front and you'll be greeted by a 6.8-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display running at a 120Hz refresh rate. Over at the rear, we see a quite unconventional design highlighted by its center-aligned rectangular camera island. It houses three cameras that comprise of a 50MP primary shooter, an 8MP ultrawide, and the crowd favorite, a 2MP depth sensor. It packs a lower than usual 4,700 mAh battery capacity with support for 66 watts of fast charging. The Cherry Aqua GR retails for 11,999 pesos. This next model is a phone many of you have mentioned in our previous listicles, saying that it deserves a spot in similar content like this. And you guys aren't wrong. As a matter of fact, we're thankful that this one got pointed out, because we seemingly keep forgetting it from our lists. Enter the Nubia Neo 2 5G from ZTE. Just like the Pova 6 Pro, the Nubia Neo 2 5G also features some gamer aesthetics, as well as the same 6,000 mAh battery. While Unisoc is usually known for its cost-effective entry-level chipsets, the Unisoc T820 inside the phone is actually quite good. It's also built on a 6nm process node and has a maximum clock speed of up to 2.7 GHz. That's even a tad bit higher than the Dimensity 7050 with up to 2.6 GHz clock speeds. The phone features 8 GB of RAM. Interestingly though, it supports up to 12 GB of extended memory. As for storage, it gets 256 GB, however, no micro SD card slot here for storage expansion. Cameras are decent with a 50-megapixel main shooter alongside a 2-megapixel depth sensor, and the charging rate is at 33 watts. The ZTE Nubia NEO 2 5G is priced at 11,999 pesos. Saving the best for last, we have the POCO X6 5G. Coming in at 14,999 pesos, it boasts some of the best features we have seen in this price range. For starters, it packs a more crisp 6.67-inch 1.5K AMOLED display, of course with a 120Hz refresh rate. It has the highest peak brightness out of the bunch at 1800 nits. Its performance is even greater, boasting the Snapdragon 7S Gen 2, a 4nm class chipset from Qualcomm, with up to 2.4 GHz clock speeds. In Antutu, it garnered 590,822 points. Mind you, that's the highest score on this list. Configurations include up to 12 GB of RAM and up to 512 GB of internal storage. A triple camera setup protrudes from the phone's rear, consisting of a 64-megapixel main, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 2-megapixel macro sensor. So hey, no depth sensor here. Battery-wise, it packs a 5100 mAh unit paired with 67 watts of fast charging. For durability, the phone also gets an IP54 rating for dust and splash resistance. And that wraps up this list with a bang. Which of these 5G-enabled phones do you guys think stands out at this price range? If we missed any other smartphones that you guys also think deserves a spot on this list, don't hesitate to mention them in the comment section below. But if you found this list enjoyable, informative, or helpful in regards to making a purchasing decision, be sure to smack that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so you get notified of our future uploads. Be sure to visit yugitech.com and follow us on all our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok for the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been Miguel, and I'll see ya in the next one. Cheers.